Hello everyone. Today is week 1 in our months-long theme of compassion. I am going to begin with some opening words. May our lives be blessed according to the depth of our love, the persistence of our faith, our willingness to forgive and be compassionate, and in proportion to our yearning to be free. I'm going to continue with our chalice lighting. I am now going to light the chalice in front of me. If you have a chalice or candle at home that you would like to light, feel free to do so now. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in everyday life. Our first reading is called Gentleness in Living by Richard S. Gilbert. Be gentle with another. It is a cry from the lives of people battered by thoughtless words and brutal deeds. It comes from the lips of those who speak them and the lives of those who do them. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there, of hope and hurt, or promise and pain? Who can know from what far places each has come, or to which far places each may hope to go? Our lives are like fragile eggs. They crack, and the substance escapes. Handle with care. Handle with exceedingly tender care. For there are human beings within. Human beings as vulnerable as we are, who feel as we feel, who hurt as we hurt. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring. It is lasting enough for sharing, precious enough for love. Be gentle with one another. Today's sermon is called Compassion by Michelle O'Connor. This was given at Harrisonburg Unitarian Universalist on June 8th in 2003. Good morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about the second UU principle, which in words is quite limited, but in scope is extremely expansive. The preamble to all the UU principles states in part, we covenant to promote and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. As many of you know, the Unitarian Universalist churches became one denomination in 1961. And the members of the church hammered out the principles over a period of several years after that. By approximately 1968, we had a working set. Since this principle is so expansive, today's service will focus on compassion. What it is, what folks have to say about it, and how we've been shown compassion by people in our church. Mr. Webster says compassion has to do with sympathy and is similar to pity. That is rubbish, and so his definition will not be included here. Joseph Campbell, in his conversations with Bill Moyer, has two definitions about compassion. One, compassion is the natural opening of the human heart to another human being. And two, compassion is the awakening of the heart from bestial self-interest to humanity. In Buddhist teaching, Pema Chodron tells us, this kinship with the suffering of others, this inability to continue to regard it from afar, is the discovery of our soft spot, the discovery of bodhicitta, which means noble or awakened heart. We awaken this bodhicitta, this tenderness for life, when we can no longer shield ourselves from the vulnerability of our condition, from the basic fragility of existence. Rabbi Shoni Leibowitz describes compassion as the ability to feel deeply and give generously while remaining free from expectation. When you have compassion for yourself and others, you interact freely and lovingly with all life. Thich Nhat Hanh says, "We know that our compassion is firm and authentic when it is not contingent on the other person being lovable." A Universalist Taoist, the Reverend Dr. John Murray Atwood, talks of compassion as the spirit of love. He says, "One can always tell when the spirit of love, that is of God, has entered into the heart. It is not forever thinking, 'What is there in this for me?' No, they have forgotten about themselves in devotion to this service." Compassion can only take place in the midst and the mud of life. Pema Chodron writes, "It must be right down there in the thick of things, not worrying about the outcome, but not fearing to go wherever tenderness and an open heart are needed." You would think that everyone would welcome a wonderful thing like compassion, but it is not always welcome. Sometimes acts of compassion will get you run over by a bulldozer, like Rachel Curry, who tried to stop an Israeli bulldozer from destroying the home of a Palestinian doctor. It seems from the dawn of time, people who have had and preached the benefits of great compassion have been murdered with tragic predictability. Recall that in China, a group of people who got together to do meditative exercises and expressed compassion for the pain of the world were banned by the government. They had no guns, no bombs, just goodwill and compassion, and their government couldn't handle it. Literally, compassion means to suffer with another. I think of all the things we've heard today, Joseph Campbell might have said it best: the natural opening of the human heart to another human being. Compassion does not look for reward, compensation, or even an easy time of it. Compassion is open to all things, at all times, and will run to suffering and pain and not away from it. Our second reading is called A Stone's Throw by George A. Tiger. As I ride through Kandahar City's Sub-District 9, I see a naked, dust-covered kid playing along the road. That's not the strangest thing, but when he picks up a large rock and hurls it at the truck, I wonder aloud, what the hell? Who lets their kid run around naked throwing rocks? What kind of place is this? Years of war and violence have produced a perversely unique system where hurling rocks at others is a legitimate sport. It is easy to become cynical, even contemptuous, of those kids who throw rocks. However, we must not let our anger to numb our compassion. In a place like this, compassion for a dirty rock-throwing kid is all that keeps us human. If our entire world, from our first breaths, was a closely circumscribed existence, defined by poverty, war, death, dirt, and dust, how would we perceive the world around us? How different would we be? Maybe rock throwing would not seem so strange. My son has grown up seeing men in uniform as the good guys, not a threat. When his bunny rabbit died, he cried for a day and buried it in the backyard. That is as close to death as he's ever been. He takes a hot bath every night. He has ice-cold water, juice, and soda for the taking. His world is secure, reliable, and good. He is happy, safe, and loved. That kid with the rock has never known the world my son takes for granted. His world is not secure, reliable, and good. It is dangerous, uncertain, and rough. Still, He knows how to throw rocks. It is one certain thing in an uncertain world, so that is what he does. Understanding this, my response is compassion. Compassion for a child who seeks to hurt me. Compassion for a child who is no less a child of the universe than my own son. I cannot change his world, but I must try to understand it. Otherwise, a kid with a rock is just one more kind of enemy instead of the person he really is. A kid who, just like my own son, only wants to be happy, safe, and loved. I am now going to extinguish the chalice in front of me. If you have a candle or chalice at home that you lit, blow it out with me now. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. And now some closing words by Becca Reynolds. May love permeate your every heartbeat. May faith guide your every step. May truth and compassion be your eternal traveling companions. And may a deep abiding spirit rest joyously in your every waking wish and your ever resting dream. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your week.